And we are recording. 3, 2, 1. Hello, 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 and welcome to the Gonzo Experience. This is the podcast that really we're going to provide some great value in around 20 minutes to help you, the entrepreneur, navigate your life. It's different being an entrepreneur. We live different lives with different stresses, different perspectives, different mindsets. And so I'm bringing on people that have been there and done that and be able to help us. Today I have on the show, OMG, massive OMG, one of my favorite people in the world. His name is Rob Dube. Rob, welcome to the show. This is the first time I have to say welcome to the show. I'm giving you a massive virtual hug.
Thank you, David, and a big virtual hug back to you. I can't wait to see you again in person. I miss you.
Oh my God. I know COVID is tough. My hugs have been way down, and when the vaccine kicks in and we could go out into the world again, I'm probably going to be like
it's going to be crazy, this hugging.
Oh my, I might break some vertebrae, but it'll be worth it, I swear. But Rob, I want to first and foremost say that you are the first person that's been on my podcast, whether it's been through Avanti and now Gonzo. You are the first person that's been a 3 times guest. This is the third time. Congratulations.
I feel very honored, and I'm sorry to your listeners, but I feel honored.
They clamored.
Thank you.
They clamored for more Rob. So I had to listen. I got to listen to the masses,
Mm-hmm.
Like what Saturday Night Live has that 5 times hosting club with like Alec Baldwin and Tom Hanks and all those guys, right? So we'll put you in that club.
I'm working my way into it. Yep.
Rob, I want to, the reason I want to have you on the show again, first and foremost, as I mentioned, you're one of my favorite people in the world. You're such a successful businessman. You and Joel, your partner that running the businesses there, but also you're just bringing so much value into the world about how you do it. And what I mean by that is just such a thoughtful approach to being a business owner, a human, and because a lot of times entrepreneurs, I'll say most of the time entrepreneurs, we are running like crazy and rarely stopping to think, to breathe, to just evaluate, are we on the right track? And you've brought that to a new level with your movement called Do Nothing, which I love. You've written a book called Do Nothing. You have started a silent retreat with the Do Nothing movement. Your podcast in the beginning was called Do Nothing. You changed your name like me, little rebranding, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And now you've changed it to Leading with Genuine Care, which you can tell us about.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, besides doing all that great stuff, you are an incredible business owner, Image One, for many years, multi-million-dollar business. You've been a Forbes magazine top company to work for. So then also too, I got to call out, you are a great husband. I met your wife. She told me, great dad. I've seen the smiles on your kids, so that I know that they're very happy. And just a great human overall. You're vegan. You're a runner. I mean, I want to be Rob. I want to be. What was that? I want to be like Mike. I want to be like Rob. Come on, So Rob, what I would love to do is just, give everybody who didn't listen to the first 2 episodes, give us an overview of who you are, what you're doing. And then what we're really going to dig into, this is for all the listeners to make sure they stay tuned, is as we're in the 8th or 9th month of COVID, and with the threats of more lockdowns as we're surging again, Rob is going to give us some great insights and tips on how to navigate everything going on with some great wellness, mental wellness, physical wellness tips, because that's one of the things that he does best. So Rob, I'm done talking. The floor is yours.
Well, thank you for all that, and good night, everybody.
That's it. Great show.
So first of all, I really, truly appreciate those very and over the top kind words. At our company, our purpose is to provide genuine care to everyone, every day, every time. And with that in mind, each moment, that is our thought process. And we also encourage our leadership team and our entire team to bring that philosophy and that purpose into their own lives. And when that is at the forefront, it can make navigating challenging times a little bit easier. Nothing's ever easy per se, especially when we're going through something like this. But it can help. And at this point in time, we're all looking for something that's simple and practical, and that we can kind of wrap our minds around. And what could be better, quite frankly, than to look to those around you and think to yourself, how can I be providing genuine care to them at this moment? And it can be little things, and it could be a nice smile, at the grocery market. Think about the folks that are putting arm's way for they're not breaking bank, let's just say, at the checkout line, and but they're there. And it's a challenging situation for people like that right now. And you can make a huge difference, even as you walk into the store, with the challenges that you have maybe going through your mind, whether they be, anything that may be going on with your business, or if you have kids and the schooling situation. Maybe you have family members who are, or who you, especially here, I'm not sure what with this, but with holidays approaching, we are all having to make very challenging decisions around who we're spending time with. All these things really require sort of a new level of awareness. And I think when we can take it outside of ourselves and really look to the outside and how we can serve better our fellow humans, it can help us cope just a little.
Oh, hello, Rob. I think we lost you. You back?
Oh, yeah, I'm here. Where did you lose me?
Just coping as fellow humans. Yes.
Yeah, that's I got it. So, are you with me?
I'm here. We're here. Yeah, yeah. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries.
Very good. So so you have been very involved with deep breathing and meditating and just self-care practices.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the things that you've been doing, and some of your tribe and your employees and people that you're working with? What are you like recommending to people, just so things that they can do every day, every week, to kind of just continue to navigate this craziness?
So the thing that we talk most about at our company, and one of the more useful ideas that people seem to connect with when I am out talking a bit about these types of things, is something called the Simple Six. And these are the 6 things in our lives that we all know we want to do a little bit better with, but for some reason it's not that simple. And there's many more than 6. So when you hear them, you might say, yeah, but this one's more important or that one's more important. And by all means, pick the 6 that are most important to you. These are just 6 that we identified through a number of years ago. And the 6 are, and they start with a strong mindfulness practice. And that maybe refers a little bit to the breathing, and coming to being able to have the ability to come to the present moment. And I'll touch more on that in a second. So that's the first one. That's your foundation. The next 5 are the obvious things that you always hear about, things like sleep, nutrition, movement, connection, and gratitude. And so if you can have these 6 in mind, or insert, if one doesn't work for you, pull one out and insert the one that's most, more important to you. But these 6 are really useful to focus on at any point in time, but especially in times that are quite challenging, like we're going through now. And so let me start and go through each one briefly, and you can use this as an exercise once you're done listening as you go through your days.
Perfect.
With mindfulness, a simple practice that you can do daily. It's a meditation practice where you focus on your breath, breathing in through your nose normally, being aware of your thoughts, allowing them to be without judgment. And when you notice your thoughts, you come back to your breath, and your breath represents the present moment, right here, right now. And that's where you are at all times. Your mind is usually other places. Your mind is either in the past or it's in the future. But there's nothing that you can do to change that. And the future isn't here yet. And while you like to believe you can control it, you can't. And so the greatest practice that we can do is coming to the present moment. And just for clarification on this type of mindfulness meditation practice, you are not trying to clear your mind of thoughts. In fact, your thoughts are normal. And so it's very important for, as you go into this, to let yourself off the hook. Many people share with me the challenges that they have sitting and trying to meditate. They'll say things like, it doesn't work for me. I can't get my mind to calm down. And it's frustrating. And yes, if you're trying to eliminate all thought, I can imagine that must be frustrating, but that is not what you're trying to do, actually. What you're trying to do is simply be aware of your thoughts. And then once you have that awareness, you notice and you come back to your breath, which is representative of the present moment. And that's the practice. One last thing I'll say on this. Why do I call it a practice? Because literally it is practicing. It's practicing for the big game or the big recital. For those that are into sports, you might picture, an NBA player, a professional basketball player who is in the gym until, all hours of the evening, shooting the 3-pointers over and over and over again. Everybody else is off. They're gone. They're sleeping. But this person's shooting. Or you might think of the violinist, and that person is practicing, blisters on their fingers, all hours of the night. Everybody else is sleeping. Then the big game happens. The basketball game is on the line. The professional gets the ball. The crowd's going insane. It's pressure. They shoot it up. They don't even think. They just shoot it up. Boom, they win the game. The recital, the big performance, there's thousands of people. The curtain goes up. High stress, and the violinist performs has an amazing performance. That's because they practiced. So when you're sitting and practicing mindfulness meditation, you are literally doing what those folks are doing. The big game for us is a little different. It could be just an interaction with somebody like we were talking about before at the grocery store. It could be an interaction with a family member. If you're an entrepreneur, it could be an interaction with a customer or a team member, an employee that's getting under your skin. And it's all about how you handle that moment, the moment between stimulus and response. It's a very brief moment. It's a millisecond. And how you handle that millisecond is because you practiced. And if you don't practice, it's harder it's harder to understand how you can control your reaction in that millisecond. Why building that foundation is so critical. And now as we move on to the next 5, no one, I think at this point, can debate much that a good night's sleep is a game changer. We all know that. There was a point in time where, there were people saying, they were trying to figure out how you could operate on like 4 hours of sleep. And there are some humans out there that I've heard of, and they seem to be able to do it. But I think in that category. And so if you are not in that category, it's really important that you pay very, very close attention to your sleep patterns. As I mentioned, many people, when they have a good night's sleep, they're a different person the next day. And if you're one of those people that recognize that, then you know what I'm talking about. And so the first thing as it relates to sleep, and how much sleep do you really need? And being really intentional about that. If you need 8 hours, you've got to figure out a way to make that a discipline, to get that 8 hours, because it'll be not only good for you, it's good for everybody around you. So think about it in those terms. And so an exercise that you'll do for each one of these, starting with sleep, is you'll ask yourself each day on a scale from 1 to 10, how important is sleep to me? And if it's a 1, it's not important at all. And if it's a 10, it's critically important. Hey, how did I do last night? How did I do with sleep? And you rank yourself on that continuum. I happen to write it in a journal. That actually, you can just think about it each day. And if you were below an 8, then just ask yourself a simple question. What's getting in my way? What is it? A lot of times when I ask an audience what's getting in your way, a common response is, I just binge on Netflix. And so, there is something that you can ask yourself is, what is getting in your way? And just try to do better tonight, because that's all you can do, is just try to do a little bit better. The next thing is nutrition. And similar to sleep, we all know that nutrition is a very important part of how our bodies feel, how our bodies react to stress. So do your best to be mindful about what you're eating and find the thing that's right for you. David mentioned at the outset that I'm vegan. That just happens to be right for me. That's not right for everybody. So find what's right for you and do your best with it. Do that continuum, 1 to 10. 1 is you're struggling and 10 is you're doing great. And if you're under 8, ask yourself, what's getting in your way? The next one is movement. Similar. It's important that we move our bodies. If you're on Zoom all day, I'm on Zoom a lot. I'm at a desk. I'm sitting a lot. We need to figure out ways that we can move our body. And there are many ways to do this. There's desk exercises. You can go out for a brisk walk. David also mentioned I'm a runner, but I believe that a brisk walk is super underrated. Go for a quarter of a mile, a half a mile, bundle up if it's cold, if it's not, whatever. Just get out there and do a brisk walk. You'll see of the air of nature, no matter where you are, even if you're in a city. And so each day, just ask yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is I'm struggling getting some movement in and 10 is I'm doing a great job, where are you on the continuum? And if you're under 8, just ask yourself what's getting in your way. And whatever that is, be aware of it. And subconsciously, like with nutrition, sleep, and meditation, your mind will start to take over and you'll start to make little changes along the way. Little tweaks. So nobody's asking for you to make big goals and big, New Year resolutions. Just be aware. Use that meditation, that mindfulness practice as a way to be aware. And you'll slowly begin to make changes. The next one is connection. Harder to do these in this time with COVID and with the pandemic, but we can get on the phone still. We can use FaceTime and Zoom. We all know that. And we're kind of, on it a lot. So sometimes it's tiring, but hey, there's nothing like catching up with an old friend. Like when I'm talking to Dave, it's the best, there's an energy that comes through.
And we've done some FaceTimes through the pandemic here. And
that's right. And I'm always energized.
It definitely boosted my serotonin levels. Thank you for
That's
that.
right. And it's true. And there's nothing like it. So connect, make it an intention to connect, and think about somebody that maybe you don't connect with a lot. Maybe an old friend that you might have called at some point to go grab a beer ever, and get them on Zoom, or just call them and just talk for 10, 15 minutes. It doesn't have to be a big schmeal. And each day, think about that. And on a scale from 1 to 10, where are you landing? 1 is I'm just not connecting with anybody. I'm like in my own world. And 10 is I'm doing great. And if you're below an 8, just ask yourself, what's getting in my way? And become aware of that. And each day, as you continue to do this, you'll start making little changes that'll start making a difference. Okay, and so the last one, super powerful, is gratitude. There's nothing like it. It really brings perspective to the world, especially for those of us. I mean, my business has been through a very challenging year. So gratitude has been super useful for me this year more than ever. I happen to journal gratitude each morning, but you don't have to journal. I mean, you literally can stop at any point in the day and just say, I am grateful for the sun shining today. And I know that sounds kind of like it's not a big deal, but it is a big deal. You might even go out and you feel it. Go feel the sun. And so gratitude is incredibly important. There is a technique that I always like to share, and that is to actually write a gratitude. Somebody that maybe you haven't talked to in a while, or somebody who was impactful in your life. Expressing gratitude to them will serve you, actually, but it'll serve them too. And by the way, if you've ever received a handwritten note, I just ask you to consider, what have you done with that note once you've received it? Over 90% of the people I ask this question to answer that they put it in a drawer, they leave it on their desk, they tape it on their monitor, they put it on a bulletin board. Bottom line is they don't throw it away. And they have a hard time throwing it away. That's how meaningful that letter is. That's how meaningful it is. So expressing gratitude, and do that continuum again from 1 to 10. How well am I doing with this today? 1 is I'm just not expressing gratitude. 10 is I'm doing great. If you're under 8, what's getting in your way? A lot of people say, I just forget. So make a Post-it note and remind yourself. And slowly you'll ease into a routine, a discipline with gratitude and all of these things that'll help move the needle just a little bit on these challenging times. So David, with that, I hope that's useful to the audience.
Oh, so powerful, Rob. So powerful. I wrote all of those down, and I do all of those to some extent, but the challenge here is for me is to do them better. Like you said, the continuum of getting better and better. At least do them and look at, say, all right, what went well, what didn't go well, and how could I do even better tomorrow?
That's right.
And gratitude is something, I mean, I don't have a gratitude journal. I tried it. I just haven't kept up with it. But what I do is when I say my morning prayers, I thank God for what I'm grateful for, right? And then, but I like your idea too of throughout the day, just stop yourself and focus a little bit and think of something that you're grateful for just to continue it. I also stop myself in the middle of the day too, and I'll just take like 5 deep breaths, just hold it and let it out. And it just seems to kind of recenter me a little bit,
Those are great practices.
Love sleeping. Oh, love sleep. I try to, as I get older, I wake up at 3 for, in the morning, and then I fall back asleep. But man, if I could get 7, 8 hours, I'm a happy man. I try to. Nutrition, I'm no vegan, but I'm definitely pretty darn healthy, no processed foods and good Italian Mediterranean diet for the most part. Maybe a cannoli too much every now and then. But this November, I decided since November 1st that I was going to give up any form of processed sugar and alcohol. Not that I drink too much, but I do have a glass of wine every night. And I just said, you know what? Let me make sure that I'm in control of my vices and they're not in control of me. And I also said caffeine. That's been a little harder. I cut down a lot, but I do have the one espresso in the morning because I was getting wicked headaches, and I tried to withdraw slowly, and I said, I'm drinking a lot less caffeine, but just the one espresso in the morning, and it definitely has calmed me down a lot during the day.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe kind of reined in my ADHD, So. And movement, yeah, I work out every morning. I walk whenever I can. I walk outside when I'm making phone calls. I love that. So, before you get your 10,000 steps in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And connection, you know me, and I'm just like you, like love people, love connecting, talking, hugging, and just really, through conversation, just really connecting with people. It has been more difficult, and I do feel that. I mean, Zoom, thank God for Zoom. Imagine with 1980s, we didn't have any of this technology. When you and I grew up, right? But it doesn't replace the human, the belly to belly, the face to face human contact, and I'm struggling with that. But I'm looking forward to hopefully the next 3 or 4 months with the vaccine kicking in, we'll get back to seeing people a little bit more again. But those are great 6 things that I know.
The
that
great thing about everything that you said,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's really important, and this is why I really love the Simple 6. Because we're not striving for perfection. Enough already. Right. We're human. We're imperfect.
Yep.
And so have a cannoli, have a glass of wine or a cup of coffee or whatever it is. Enjoy life. But just what's important here is being aware, because we're always off center somewhere, and you can bring it closer. You can bring it closer, and it will help you get through challenging and stressful times. So, I love what you said, because you're having a cannoli every now and then, or you're having a glass of wine, or whatever the case might be, but you're not being hard on yourself about it. I think being hard on ourselves actually causes more stress and anxiety to build upon the stress. Not necessary.
Very true. Very true. Rob, so I don't have to be perfect. Thank you for that permission.
But you already are.
I got it. You're sweet.
Mind.
You are sweet. Well, I'm going to give myself permission to not be perfect, and you'll still love me, right?
Of course I will.
Rob Dube, my first 3 times guest on my podcast. Thank you so much. Can't tell you how happy that I am that you were born, and that I got to meet you, and that we continue to be friends. So keep on doing what you're doing, my friend. Rob, if somebody wants to learn more about you, where do they go?
They can go to
Rob lost you. Say that again.
They can go to donothingbook.com.
Donothingbook.com.
That's right.
Rob Dube, folks, thank you so much. Truly appreciate it. And Rob, I wish you a wonderful holiday season.
Same to you, David. Thanks so much for having me, and all the best to all the listeners.
Here's to the Simple 6 through the holidays.
There you go.
Take care, my friend.
Bye-bye.